Hi everyone, this is MT Gamer. I'll be doing a versus where I compare the solo runs of two Pokemon. This was inspired by a video I saw by Scott's Thoughts. This won't be much of a race as I'm not even remotely close to being a speedrunner. However, I do intend on declaring a winner at the end of this video based on their performances. Our two challengers for this video are Pidgey and Spearow. Here we have two very similar flying types who are pretty ordinary and numerous in games they appear in. The question is which of the two will perform better and can defeat the Leaf 4 and Lance at a lower level with less good luck involved. Will either or both of them surprise me by going for an incredible run? Let's find out. As the observant viewers have likely noticed, the TMs and HMs learned by both Pidgey and Spearow are basically the same. What separates these two Pokemon will be their stats and moves learned through level up. Pidgey is more well-rounded as a whole while Spearow specializes more in attack and speed. Pidgey learns only normal and flying attacking moves, while Spearow can also learn Pursuit. Though his special attack stat makes that move pretty useless as we've seen in my Beedrill run. The biggest difference is the final flying move these two Pokemon can learn. Pidgey is stuck with a 60 base power wing attack, while Spearow learns the 80 base power drill peck. With stab taken into account, that's 90 power move versus a 120 power move. Odds are these two will rely on return for their main attacking move, but the flying moves will matter against Koga's Fortress and Karen's Gengar. Will the well-rounded Pidgey come out victorious, or will the more offensive focused Spearow come out on top? Spearow has a slightly easier early game due to starting with Peck. Once Pidgey got Gust, the two are basically flying through the early game. I wanted to try out different rival starters, so Pidgey got Cyndaquil and Spearow got Totodile. Cyndaquil line can burn, lowering attacking moves, while Totodile line is bulkier. I'm curious to see if this difference affects anything. Next, we fight Falconer, and the strategy is the same for both Pokemon. Out-damage Falconer's Pokemon and win is basically all there is. Pidgey entered the fight level 17 while Spearow was level 15. Both convincingly defeated Falconer, so we can move on to Bugsy. I don't need to grind any levels for either of them as they destroy Bugsy with ease. At this point of the game, I've taught both Mud Slap and Swift to Pidgey and Spearow. Mud Slap was useful for Union Cave where all the rock types were problematic. Fighting the hikers wasn't a pleasant experience for either of them. Swift was just a better move given that Gust was 40 base power and Peck was 35 base power. Remember that Swift is also a stab move for these two because they are flying and normal. I didn't orchestrate it, but the two battles were far too similar. I used Mud Slap against my rivals Ghastly for both Pidgey and Spearow. Both failed to make Ghastly faint, and then they were put to sleep by hypnosis. After that, the Ghastly simply used Spite until it got rid of all of Pidgey's Mud Slap PP, while leaving one power point left for Spearow's Mud Slap. Then both went on to eliminating rest of my rivals' Pokemon without any issues. The battle was more amusing than challenging. Speaking of challenging, let's talk about Whitney. I didn't look forward to this fight. Of course, I never looked forward to the fight against Whitney. I fought all the possible trainers before I took her on. At this point, Pidgey was level 31 and Spearow was level 29. Both took out Clefairy in one hit and needed 3 hits to take out Miltank. They were both faster than Miltank and had enough HP to survive 2 rollouts. The extra grinding is certainly paying off. With Whitney out of the way, I can then tackle my rival and Morty. I fought my rival with Pidgey at level 33. The battle was close due to Hunter getting off Curse before fainting, but Pidgey still came out ahead. Meanwhile, Spearow didn't fight my rival until level 36. I delayed this fight because I knew Spearow needed to be level 37 before I can challenge Morty. At level 37, Spearow learns Drill Peck, an 80 base power flying move. This move will help Spearow get through many tough opponents until I feel return is absolutely necessary. With a higher level and Drill Peck available, Spearow crushed my rival with ease. As for the fight against Morty, Pidgey was grinded to level 35 first. Wing Attack was more than enough to get through Morty's lineup, though that critical hit from Wing Attack felt nice. I didn't even waste a Mint Berry. If a level 36 Pidgey with Wing Attack can do this well, then Spearow has even fewer problems in the fight. At level 37, Spearow one-shotted all of Morty's Pokemon and was even faster than Gengar. Despite how easy these two fights looked, I had to do a good amount of grinding first to make it possible. The extra grinding I did for the Morty fight made the next bit of the game quite easy. The fighting gym was a breeze as both Pidgey and Spearow breezed through it. Here we see a level 41 Pidgey needing 2 hits to finish out Poliwrath, while a level 39 Spearow could one-shot it. This really showcases that a strong attack stat and a better move in the form of Drill Peck makes a big difference. Following the win over Chuck, I decided to tackle the Rocket Hideout and Price. Let's just say that the fight against Jasmine isn't something I really look forward to. The Rocket Hideout can give both Pokemon valuable levels to better prepare them for the Jasmine fight. Deciding that I don't want to spend too long in the hideout, I finally taught Pidgey and Spearow return. I know I will need the move for the Jasmine fight. As expected, T-Rocket didn't put up much of a fight. Even Pidgey with the lower attack stat crushed them. When fighting Price, I realized that teaching Pidgey return was the right choice. The ability to eliminate Dugong swiftly while also taking care of Piloswine before it could get blizzard off helps the run. Interestingly, both Pidgey and Spearow knocked out Piloswine with a critical hit return. Anyways, the easy part for this section is done. Now I have to deal with Jasmine. Jasmine was the toughest fight yet. While opponents like Morty can be beaten if I just grind some levels, Jasmine is in a whole different league of her own. First, neither Pidgey nor Spearow could one-shot Magnemite yet with Mudslap after I beat Price. That meant I have to grind to ensure that would happen consistently, and yet I got lazy with Pidgey as grinding is just too dull. Then there is no real strategy against Steelix other than hope I get lucky. Steelix is just too tanky, and the Hyper Potion Jasmine uses only meant that I needed to stay lucky longer. Essentially, the ideal strategy is to use Mudslap 5 times against Steelix and then hope it doesn't land enough hits to knock my Pokemon out. Pidgey can take 3 hits while Spearow can only take 2 hits. Here, the more well-roundedness of Pidgey is proving to shift the odds slightly in its favor. In the end, it's still all luck, where I spam return after 5 Mudslaps and hope for the best. Having tried a dozen times, I managed to beat Jasmine with a level 49 Pidgey and a level 50 Spearow. The thing about beating Jasmine is that by the time I do so, both Pidgey and Spearow are at levels where they can sweep through the Team Rockets in Goldenrod City and my rival. Spearow only took damage because Feraligatr was bulky enough to survive a return. Otherwise, the two of them basically came out unscathed except for a couple of quick attacks here and there. By the time they fought Claire, Pidgey and Spearow were level 55 and 56 respectively. The Dragonairs were all one-shotted while Kingdra required 2 hits from both Pokemon. I guess the good thing about the Jasmine fight is how well it paved the way for both Pokemon towards the Elite Four and Lance. Return is definitely the default move for both Pidgey and Spearow when I fought my rival Elite Four and Lance, unless I'm facing Karen's Gengar or a Pokemon will take more damage from a different move. My rival's Magneton gave both Pidgey and Spearow problems due to its typing, therefore I rely on a 4x super effective Mudslap that guarantees 2 hits to knock it out, and the Paralyzed Cure Berry for the Thunder Wave. Thus, I can move on to the Elite Four, and the level 62 Pidgey is up first. Wheel wasn't much of an issue as Pidgey's return took out all but Slowbro in 1 hit, while Slowbro usually go for some stat boosting move. Koga's Fortress wasn't as big of a challenge this time, since I have a neutral move against flying. There was still a chance for explosion, but I have yet to figure out what triggers must be met for that to happen. Crobat and Muck could both take more than 1 hit while using their standard evasion moves. Luckily, Koga doesn't prove to be a challenge this time. Bruno's Onix proved to be a bit more of a problem, as even its Sandstorm can inflict a lot of damage over time. With Wing Attack one-shotting the rest of his team, that was thankfully all the damage Pidgey took. As for Karen, she wasn't so lucky, since Pidgey fought like the Sand Attack didn't even hit it. Pidgey swept her team without taking any damage and could move on to Lance. Spearow used the same strategy as Pidgey when it came to the rival fight. Then it entered the fight against the Elite Four at level 64, and this was due to the information I gathered from Pidgey, as I'll talk about later. The fight against Will went just about the same as the Pidgey attempt. Slowbro still eats up 2 hits despite Spearow having 2 extra levels on Pidgey. For the Koga fight, we did see Spearow needing only 2 drill pecks to knock out Fortress while one-shotting Muk. Even though Crobat literally survived on a sliver of HP, Spearow was faster. For this run, the extra attack and speed from Spearow's stat gains are critical and will be more apparent later. The fight with Bruno showcases a big weakness of Spearow, its lower defense stat. I actually lost my first attempt against Bruno because Onix used Sandstorm and landed the Rock Slide before fainting. Then Sandstorm and Hitmonchan's Mach Punch knocked it out of commission. Even the second attempt was shaky despite a critical hit on Onix. The lower defense makes Spearow quite vulnerable to a few bad luck moments, and it barely won the fight against Bruno with only 9 HP left. The close encounter was made up when Spearow one-shotted all of Karen's Pokemon thanks to a critical hit on Umbreon. Spearow is now level 66 as it faces off against Lance. I decided to fight Lance with a level 64 Pidgey, and there was a huge issue. Even leveling up to level 65, Pidgey is slower than Aerodactyl, and that's a problem. This means that Aerodactyl has a chance to use Rock Slide twice, which, if both hits, can nearly knock out Pidgey. This is of course assuming Pidgey doesn't flinch from Rock Slide, which will no doubt spell the end of the attempt. To have more control over the fight, I had to level Pidgey up to level 72, where it had 125 speed. This level also ensures that Pidgey can one-shot Charizard, which it couldn't do at level 65. The successful attempt against Lance saw Pidgey taking 1 Rock Slide from Aerodactyl, and that was all the damage it took. With this bit of information, I grinded Spearow to level 64 before I challenged the Elite Four, because Spearow has the same attack and speed stat at this point as a level 72 Pidgey. While the attempt you see now is Spearow at level 71, I don't think that was necessary. The extra 8 levels didn't change the fact that Spearow's defense stat is terrible, and therefore it couldn't take a Rock Slide from Aerodactyl along with any attack from the last Dragonite. The winning condition is one of the following: Aerodactyl missing its Rock Slide, Spearow getting a crit on either Aerodactyl or the last Dragonite, and the AI being stupid. The critical hit on Aerodactyl was what happened for the winning run. The extra levels didn't make a difference, though a couple more might see Spearow one-shotting the first 2 Dragonites as well. We have come to the end of this versus. How did these 2 birds fare? I must admit that I didn't expect them to do as well as they did. Jasmine was challenging, but the 2 of them performed quite admirably. Who won? This was definitely a tough decision, as one is well-rounded and the other is more focused on the stats that make a bigger offensive difference in these runs. I would say I have to give it to Spearow because luck was necessary for both Pokemon, and the winning conditions for Spearow against Lance were only slightly tougher than what Pidgey needed. With a couple more levels, Spearow can one-shot all but Aerodactyl and the last Dragonite, which will further diversify what items it can hold. Pidgey is a solid choice for sure, but for this run, Spearow edges it out slightly in my eyes. That's it for the video. Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. Thank you.